Welcome back to part 2 of our 3-part series based on your kettlebell swings. Remember, the swing is an exercise, so we don't want to fall in love with the exercise just because it works for somebody else does not necessarily mean it's going to work for you. So last week we talked about some ways that you could build yourself up. You could build that hip hinge movement pattern so you can prepare for a better kettlebell swing exercise experience. Today I want to go over three things that will make for a better kettlebell swing. A lot of people, they miss the boat with this. The first thing I want to talk about is the setup, right? When I set up with the kettlebell swing, there's too many times I've seen people, myself included, that will simply lift the bell up and start swinging it to get that momentum. Well, think about that. Just think about that for 1 second. What happens as I'm swinging? I'm not creating that tension. My body is just like a little tree in a storm. It's just shaking back and forth, and there's so much looseness that how could I actually be ready for such a seriously powerful exercise? So as I get set up with that kettlebell, I want to make sure that my feet are shoulder width apart. A lot of people fall into the trap. They're tempted to make their feet go wider. But I'm not going to have such a good hip hinge experience with such a wide base with this kettlebell swing. I will step back behind that kettlebell. Now that's going to be very important for a couple reasons. Number one is as I slide into that hinge, I'm creating this triangle. My feet and then the apex of my groin, my thighs, that's going to be the top of that. So I want to create that triangle. As I grab the ground with the toes, I will simply tilt that bell back towards me, pull the slack out of my arms and shoulders, and right there I'm going to create this nice solid grip. The first move I will do is I will hike that kettlebell back. Hike, back, hike, back. So I want to really drive that bell. I want to swing it back as I get that momentum. Hike it right high on the thigh and back down. That right there is going to help me set that stage, create that tension, so that when I'm ready to make that kettlebell swing happen, I've already got that tension and that momentum that as I hike, there it is, right? Now, what I would recommend is that maybe once you start hiking well, do one swing, right? So set it up, get that set up, hike, put it back down. Notice now how I set that down right in front of me, shoulders staying high. I've got that massive hip hinge working for me. Being mindful about the weight that you choose as well. You don't want to go crazy heavy, but you also don't want to be too light. I'm going to pick on the ladies here for a second. I see so many ladies that come into our gym with this like 10, 15 pound purse, and they go and they grab the 5-pound kettlebell, the 10-pound kettlebell. Like they're walking around with so much weight on their body already with this purse, they got to give themselves more benefit. If I am using too light of a weight, I'll just go through the motions. It's going to be too easy to make this an arm exercise when this is a hip-dominant exercise. We don't want to go too heavy either. We don't want to have that unsuccessful experience. So we have to be Goldilocks just right as we select that kettlebell. All right. Number one was the setup. Number two is the swing component. A lot of people miss the boat. They think this is an arm exercise, as I stated earlier, but this is a hip exercise. And what I'm looking at is the trajectory of the kettlebell. We don't want that bell to swing way up high because then that becomes an arm thing. And it's not a fact of where does it have to be, as long as it is through the hips. And when I stand tall, that's where the rubber hits the road. As I swing that bell with my feet and my hands, meaning I'll get back into that setup, lock, so I'm going to pull all that slack out of my elbows, slide up, that sound that you made me hear, that wasn't just to make gym sounds and sound tough. That was the sound of me pressing my feet into the ground. So when I hit the top of my hip extension, it's my feet that press down as I'm breaking that bell apart too. So the hands have to be solid. There's a lot of people, they'll keep the elbows in tight like a little T-Rex, right? T-Rex arms. Well, that's not going to work out well either. I can't get that lat engagement. So as I bring that kettlebell out, I'm breaking that bell, keeping that lat happy, active, and most importantly, engaged. Now here's where things can go awry. If this was just a grip it and rip it, just swing it exercise, then we would not have any problems. But our population in the fitness world has a problem with deceleration, learning to absorb and to catch that kettlebell with their hips. They'll let that kettlebell have its own way on the way down, and that usually will pull them under, causing a lot of stress on that low back. So people, they more or less get hurt on the way down than they do on the way up. The taller I stand, that kettlebell is going to have a moment of pause at the top. That's going to give me an opportunity to switch gears and get ready for reverse. And when I do this, I'm going to tell you the trick about all this is where's your hands and where's your feet. I bet you didn't see that coming, did you? So when that bell's crazy up here and it's hovering and it's waiting and gravity's ready to call it back home, I need to press hard into the ground, creating this tension through my hips. A little image I like to use is to fill the sides of your pants with your hips. So I'm really driving out, I'm keeping those knees out, I'm pushing those knees out to keep that tension so that I can coil like a rubber band, coiling as I come back down in order to spring to rise back up. Tension, feet, I'm already setting the stage with those toes in the ground. As I hike, so a few things you want to notice there is I enjoyed my position here, switching gears, grabbing the ground with those toes. Did you see that from camera 2? Grab the ground with those toes. And I keep that bell high in the thigh. As soon as that bell starts getting lower than my knees, angles. This is all about biomechanics. This is all about physics. And once those angles start changing, and I've got a force like this kettlebell going back and forth, there's going to be a lot of shear force on that lumbar spine that some people are not ready to take. So we got to keep that kettlebell up nice and high so we can avoid any injury if that bell starts sneaking below the knees. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. There's a fourth step. Once you've successfully done 20 reps of your kettlebell swings, grab your nearest, favoritist cup of joe, have a little drink of coffee. That's the fourth step. And for that step, you are welcome.